Southern California, yeah.
Born and raised our DNA, laugh and cry to what we say. We hit you with that wordplay.
4053.
What episode are we on? D, they feeling like they be zombies, all dressed in Abercrombie.
SoCal DNA coming in live, 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. COVID got you sitting inside, why not sip one and free your mind?
Cheap thrills, popping pills, stat cash, spend it fast.
Listen to all of Don's lies as Arjun act like he's surprised.
See, I don't know if you're looking at your screen right now, but I'm sharing some very important moments with you right now. And it's on replay. I'm loving every second that passes of it. There's none other than my favorite, my coveted NBA Top Shot moment. You know, I'm pretty sure you know exactly which one I'm talking about. But I got...
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of looking at it for the past 3 minutes on loop. And
look at that.
So...
get down.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
There we go. Here's
There
the
it
best one. Here's the best one. Look at the disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait.
Great angle. Great angle. How about you describe exactly what the moment is for our audio-only listeners?
Yes. So we're talking about NBA Top Shot. I got probably my biggest purchase to date of none other than the bald mamba himself, Alex Caruso. It's a block of his. It's, very nice card. It's a rare card. Only 1325 minted. I got number 422, which it's a respectable serial. I think it's respectable. Part of the early adopter system where I believe those that were still even the alpha phase maybe were able to purchase this pack. And it showcases our bald mamba in a brilliant white headband. Unlabeled. He's not sponsored, so it's just a plain white, I would say, almost a do-rag, but nice and open up on the top. Swatting, flying through the air, swatting at none other than the former Laker, the still, I don't want to talk down too much on him. Talk down on Lonzo Ball. So Lonzo comes in, Josh Hart gives him a little dime, trying to help him out. Lonzo goes up, and he goes down. That's all Ball right there. Caruso, all Ball, stopping Lonzo from what could be a dunk, more likely a layup. But Caruso says, "Get that shit out of here," and proceeds to throw him on the floor like the true champ he is.
Well, I think, Don, you provided a great description of Alex Caruso's block from the Early Adapters Series 1. But both the audience and myself, we are sick. We're absolutely sick of watching this highlight on replay over and over again. I think it's time we do something kind of special. Let's go ahead and open up one of the new packs that you recently were fortunate enough to get through NBA Top Shot. So let's kind of show our audience what it looks like here.
Let's go ahead and do that. All right, here's the pack. Let's go ahead and open it up. Let's see what we got here. So... I think to everyone, to catch them up, both VA and I were able to get up on this pre-order base set here. Both lucky enough to have been up in, 24 hours they gave us? Or something like that to
48, yeah.
Was it 48? Yeah. And, I'm liking it because it's number 24. So I'm feeling really good. I'm expecting a Kobe moment in here. I'm expecting it.
Okay.
Right? I'm just saying. So you go ahead.
I hope it's like a low serial number for you.
I'm hoping. If we could squeeze
that's kind of cool. Out. So you get to reveal one by one. Okay.
Yeah, man. So which one are you feeling?
Let's go left to right. All right,
left to right. All right, here we go. You got to give it a little love. Give it that finger right there. So we're gonna go ahead and see what we got here. I'm gonna open it up.
Jetty Osman with the chase down block.
Not bad. I prefer a different person in a Cavalier costume doing the chase down block, but I'll take Steady.
Guess who it's against? Though? It's against the person you like, Jordan Clarkson.
Oh man, I have a card of Jordan Clarkson that I have on sale right now. I'm trying to get rid of those suckers. Try to get rid of them.
Oh, and you gotta bump the price down to $2 probably. All right, here we go.
But not bad. I just like it.
Not bad.
Just to bring it up, they lost that game. You know, they lost it.
Oh,
So I'm
by
not
a lot. By quite a bit. Oh man.
So all right, you know, it's all right. It's all right. So
All right.
you know, we'll go to the next one. Go to the next. That's probably a $5 right here. Not too bad. Could
Sure.
be worse. Could be worse. All right, here we go with the next. Oh, a low one. Ooh. Okay.
Hey,
Oh!
that's a good one.
That is a good one.
Blake Griffin.
That's a good
I
one.
like that, dude.
Check that
Yeah.
out. Look at that.
So this is Detroit Blake, right?
Detroit Blake. That is right. And same thing going on here. All right, they still lost that game. But, you know, serial number 900? Was it 901 that I got?
You know, I actually think this is a valuable one because there's not too many Blake cards out there. So this is probably a pretty penny.
And it's a rare. One. It's a rare, too. Limited edition. So I can't be mad. Oh, and it's his first Top Shot one that he was on.
Hey.
So that might be worth it. We'll check that money out later. We'll check it out. Last but not least, here we go.
I hope it's low.
Oh, it's an assist.
Assist?
You know, not bad.
Chris Middleton. Okay, let's see what this is. Let's see. Oh, dude, that's a sick assist, man.
Nice little dime.
Sick dime. Wow. Between two defenders. Who's it to? Is it to Drew Holiday? Wow.
Yeah.
I like it. Wow. I like it, man.
Awesome.
I like all three of your picks, man.
I think I got lucky.
Pretty solid.
I got lucky. Let's take a look. Let's take a look really quick. You can probably edit this out if anything, but let's see. Let's see what they're worth really quick. All right, we'll save Blake for last. Blake? I'm assuming that's a good one.
Yeah, that should be a good one.
All right, so let's go ahead and look at Setties. Let's see what they got. Let's see. Oh, okay. Well, we're looking at a $4.
Five.
It's not bad. Not bad.
Five on a good day. On a good day.
Good. I'll wait it out. I think I have all my lows starting at 8. Assuming, like, you know, it'll have that uptick eventually. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at Chris.
Oh, this one's got to be like a tenner.
You know, you were close. You were close.
Okay,
round up.
Close.
You're rounding up.
Close.
I get it.
Round up.
All right.
Okay, now my Blake, dude, I actually think you're going to be happy with the Blake. I think it's going to be about 60.
60? All right.
60, that's my guess.
Take a look.
Oh, fuck, really? Hey, but okay.
But I have a low
still
cereal.
good, though. Still really good.
Yeah, so, like, let's take
a low cereal, yeah.
Let's go serial number lowest. All right, well, we got the first ones, obviously, but let's go to the 900s. That's usually what I look at, give or take. So I've been seeing, like, 85 as the lowest so far, more or less. 80, 65, 65-ish. So I think you're right. You're on the money. You're on the money for the perceived value, I think. So you can't complain.
Okay.
So, you know, I might list
solid.
it. I might list it at a 60.
Yeah.
Or you know what?
Or higher. Or keep it up to you.
No, man. I've been flipping, man. So I think,
okay. I got you.
You know, for now, let's go ahead and exit out of here. Not bad for a pack. I think I definitely got my money's worth there. Turned those two lower cards into the actual pack cost, and then Blake's all profit. I would, you know, I think justify saying that. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So I think my current and my new take on NBA Top Shot is to just buy packs. Just buy packs whenever they're available. I don't want to touch the market. The market is so full of unknowns. We've seen it go up and down way too many times for what's comfortable for me. And, you know, I think the only card that I really truly value right now is that Caruso card that I was showcasing earlier. I think that's the only card that's probably safe in my collection, unless I were to land another low serial somewhere else with a more prestigious character. What's your current take on the Top Shot market, man?
You know, I haven't been keeping up with it as much as I was before, but I agree with you. I think you discussed the strategy last time. Where you're pretty much going to be packs only from now on. And I think that's the right strategy. I think it's the safest, lowest risk. And it's kind of like, you know, every so often Adidas or Nike, they have a pretty nice shoe drop. And, you know, you get into the lottery, you hope that you can get a shoe. And if you do, usually you can flip it for profit. Or if you really like it, you can keep it. And I think having that approach for NBA Top Shot is the right way to go about things. I think earlier, I used to make the comparison to a mini stock market, but I think over time, because of the reasons Don mentioned, the volatility of the marketplace, probably even more so than the real stock market. I just don't think it's worth looking at it that way. I don't think day trading is necessarily, for me at least.
Sure.
Maybe some people are still benefiting off of it, but for me, like Don, every time there's a pack release, we'll give it the old college try. Maybe I'll get a legit pack one day, maybe in a year or two, we'll see. But otherwise, I think, I think it's something that we'll check in and on time and time again, but it's not going to be an everyday thing. Only when there's a pack drop, then we'll get hyped.
Sure. And I've been getting lucky. I mean, I think you only got the base packs, right? Or lucky enough to get a base pack.
Yeah, I got the one that Top Shot felt like, we're gonna give everybody a freebie. Here's something for everybody that sucks at getting packs, and so I got that one. But so I think what Don described for his strategy is very much going to be my strategy as well. Every time there's a pack drop, we're gonna get hyped. We're going to wish each other good luck, and we're going to hope that we can get some packs. But other than that, I'm totally okay not thinking about Top Shot for most days. I don't really keep up the Discord anymore or the Twitter. I actually unfollowed some people I was following before, like those Top Shot insiders.
Sure.
Because I know for the most part, given the fact that Top Shot is growing, there's going to be fewer stress tests. And anything that's a legit pack release, we will get some kind of a newsletter notification for. I'm pretty confident about that. And this is just another way for me to not eat up too much of my time focusing on Top Shot. As fun as it can be, as Don showed, you can get these really cool moments that can give you some bragging rights with your friends, with Lonzo Ball getting demolished by Alex Caruso,
Great moment.
Even getting a really great one for sure, or even getting a really dope moment like Blake's Top Shot debut, on the Pistons, which can go for a pretty penny. So, there's a lot of fun to be had, but I prefer it in bursts. I prefer it in brief moments where it doesn't consume the most of my day. So yeah, man, Top Shot, it's something we'll revisit from time to time, perhaps not every episode, but whenever we have something interesting, we'll revisit it. And eventually, when I build up my pack collection, I will do a pack opening extravaganza for everybody to enjoy. That'll be a lot of fun. So obviously, a big part of Top Shot is showing off your collection. And, in Don's case, he loves to replay Lonzo Ball getting blocked by Caruso over and over again. And, that could lead to some tension between the co-hosts. That could lead to some beef between the co-hosts. But nothing compares to the beef that's been dishing back and forth between Kevin Durant of the Brooklyn Nets and some teenagers online, as well as some notable celebrities like Shannon Sharpe and Michael Rappaport. So in this particular instance, I think it's necessary to provide some context, right? KD, he's known to be a little bit, how should I put it, thin-skinned when it comes to social media. Unlike other superstars, unlike other celebrities, he tends to respond. He likes to take time out of his busy day, and we know the guy's doing a lot. Juggling businesses, juggling media ventures, and of course, playing basketball for a title contender. In all that, he finds time to go on one of his burner accounts or even his own social media accounts and talk some smack to the likes of, let's say, Michael Rappaport to begin with. Now, Michael Rappaport, for those that don't know, he is a Caucasian actor. He did a couple of sitcoms that all failed. He's now kind of like an analyst from time to time for the NBA that joins Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe on Fox Sports 1's Undisputed. And, he's not everybody's cup of tea. He tends to ruffle some feathers. He's a little bit confrontational, but that's his brand. More power to him. Everybody has to make a hustle some way. And so for him, he's known to kind of antagonize different people. He talks some shit back and forth with people. And apparently he has this kind of a back and forth, insult-laden relationship with the likes of KD. But it got kind of overboard to a certain point. And Michael Rappaport, he crossed the one rule that usually you don't cross, especially when you have conversations that are private, that are DMs. He decided to screenshot everything and post it to his own social media so everybody can see. That's a big no-no. I think in all circles in life, you don't want to do that. So obviously, he's kind of losing some friends, probably losing some contacts in his Rolodex right now. But the subject matter, now that it's out there, I mean, obviously we have to deal with it. Subject matter was rather disgusting. I mean, it's Kevin Durant basically making threats and saying, "Hey, I can't wait to drive over and spit on your face. I can't wait to, blah blah blah." Just talking smack about the wife, talking smack about everything, using very very vulgar language.
Sure.
And some people were saying, "Oh, the snapshots or the screenshots rather were edited because Michael Rappaport was also dishing it out, but he deleted his messages." You know what I mean? So like it looks like it's all one sided, and Michael Rappaport's this angel, but really he's probably talking some smack too. This was a subject of much debate on all the usual shows that we watch, like First Take on ESPN, Undisputed, and just everybody else, The Jump, ESPN's The Jump, talking about it too. And they all kind of echoed the same sentiment that I shared before, that, you know what, you broke the bro code, number one. You don't post these messages. You don't air your dirty laundry out. But number two, Kevin Durant's reaction was kind of interesting as well. He didn't outright apologize for the behavior. He apologized that people saw him talking like this, as if to say he's going to continue, doing what he does, but he just regrets that it got out. So take that how you will. I kind of want to bring this to a greater topic, though. I don't want to focus on Michael Rappaport because he quite frankly doesn't deserve our 2 cents. But I want to know what you think about a superstar, one of the best to ever do it in the NBA, Kevin Durant. Why do you think he cares so much to do this with like random people online, with celebrities, with anybody? Why do you think? Why do you think he does all this?
Yeah, I mean, he has thin skin, as you said. I think that even though he's reached the level of stardom that he's at, he somehow wants to kind of have the S on his chest sort of look for some reason. He realizes that, there's really great opportunities that kind of get tied into your career if you have a certain level of, stardom, public stardom, have you, that he possibly thinks he could kind of salvage by, talking to the naysayers or having burners basically to protect his image. I don't know why he cares so much. I think he's stuck in LeBron's shadow for whatever reason, and actually he should be stuck in LeBron's shadow because he is probably the most iconic NBA player, at least today, given social media and his ability to showcase all of his right doings all over the place, that he feels he needs to do something to polish his social media. Why? I don't know. You gotta have one of those, he has to have a conversation with one of his homies saying, like, dude, your actions speak louder than words. Why are you doing wordplay on some social media platform? Like, go out, go donate a couple computers to a school in Brooklyn. That'll get you more followers and more love at a cheaper price tag than whatever the heck you're trying to buy your way out of now. Because who knows what else in social media he's had to buy himself out of. What other DMs has he sent? Because in all honesty, the way that, unfortunately, we've seen him text back and forth or DM people, hasn't been a good showing. It's kind of not disrespectful, but it's kind of low. It's kind of childish at best. He wants to be seen as a diamond still, but we all know him to be a snake. And if that were me, I would have played it. I would have played it the way that Rodman played it. Right? Rodman did not have good media, but what did he do? He fucking turned that shit up some more and was like, all right, fuck it, this is me. Accept me for who I am. And then he's become a superstar in his own bad boy image. I think Kevin Durant is stuck in that bad boy image, even though deep down inside he doesn't want to be. But again, his actions kind of showcase another story from what he says. So I think he's a very confused child. Wonderful basketball player. But when it comes to just the basics of communication, especially on social media, he's lacking somewhere.
He's I guess you could say it's a match made in heaven with him and Kyrie. You mentioned a couple of phrases: confused child,
Yeah.
just thin skinned in certain ways. I want to transition to his teammate here, Kyrie Irving, because he's been in the news recently as
Sure.
well for something a little bit different. As you know, the Brooklyn Nets faced the LA Lakers. I think it was last weekend,
Hmm.
and it was surprising. A couple of reasons. Number one, the Lakers without AD, without LeBron, actually won that game.
Sure.
So props to them. But number two, Kyrie and Dennis Schroeder got into a little bit of a heated exchange on the court. And at
Yep.
first, when I was watching it, because I was watching it on TV, I didn't quite pick up on what happened.
Sure.
It just seemed like, oh, wow, they got some text pretty quickly. Again, this may be another example of the long line of examples this season of referees being too whistle happy.
Hmm.
It seems like they're giving texts out left and right, and it's almost inexplicable why they're doing it so frequently. But looking at the analysis and I guess some, post game commentary, it's turned out that Kyrie Irving took issue with Dennis Schroeder uh, calling him by the N word, and Kyrie Irving got into his face a little bit, and again, Schroeder used the N word like, damn, and just back off a little bit, calm
Sure.
down. It's not that big of a deal. And that caused Kyrie to just totally escalate to 0 to 60. And he was like, no, I will refuse to continue. Like, I'm not going to deal with that. And the referee was just like, you know what? This is too much drama right now. I can't handle it. I got to give you guys text again. And ejected both
Mhm.
for the first time in their careers, mind you. And this is important. These guys don't have a reputation of causing trouble.
Sure.
But these guys were both ejected on that day. Lakers, fortunately, recovered and found a way to win. But, I just wanted to bring this to your attention and ask you a simple question. Do you think this is an isolated incident, or is this really more of the straw that broke the camel's back for Kyrie? Maybe he's been dealing with a lot this year, reacting to, all the different social issues and his private life that's been going on. And this was kind of the boiling point. This alone in a vacuum is probably not that extraordinary.
Mhm.
But for him in the moment, in the heat of the passion, he was just kind of over it. And he just let it all out. He vented his frustration. What do you think happened there?
No, I think Kyrie has never been one to shy away from speaking his mind. And if I don't know if this was all hearsay, but I heard that, or I read somewhere, or at least saw images where Kyrie has converted to Islam. And
Yes.
so he may be taking on a new approach to life, and having new morals and a better understanding of kind of what's expected of him given his new faith. And I think with all of the racial injustices that we've encountered in the past couple years now, right? Especially in the past couple years, he's getting more woke. And I think, I'm hoping this isn't just him trying to spin it, but what I think he's trying to do was he wants to get rid of the casual use of the N-word. And rightfully so. If that's the case, I am with him, and I can understand where he's coming from. Because to me, it's a very disrespectful word, as are other words used for other races. But I believe that the N-word is used more casually given our exposure to mainstream music, to how rap is pretty much a very highly utilized genre here in the United States. And just in general, even on some TV shows, some R-rated movies, the N-word is thrown left and right without any regard for probably the history behind how the word was developed. And for whatever reason, maybe Kyrie found one of those books on that flat earth that he lives on that taught him the history of it, and he became woke to it, where now he has an agenda that is a good one, finally, to kind of showcase how words in today's day and age can mean many, many things. But there's certain words, such as the N-word, that shouldn't even be a part of our vocabulary. I'd be surprised. I don't know if you want to look this up for me, but is the N word in the Oxford Dictionary?
I think at least one version of the N word.
Sure,
Maybe in the Oxford Dictionary, but
probably ER. Yeah,
could be.
Yeah.
But I do want to, I do want to bring up the other side of this debate, and this is something that Shannon Sharp brought up before.
My favorite.
Yeah, he's a great, I guess, foil to Skip Bayless. I think they, counter each other and work off of each other's energy quite well. But he basically said, there is a very good argument that this word, the N-word, should be banned. Like, it should not be something that's used anymore. But over time, and this is true, over time, the N-word, at least for, of course, the African-American people aren't a monolith. There's going to be a spectrum of views. But over time in the African-American community, at least some parts of it, the N-word has become not so much a derogatory thing. It's kind of evolved. It's been morphed. It's been kind of molded into a different way of expression, right? It's not necessarily just a harsh, critical word that's, conveying the sense of racism all the time. It's almost used as like a, let's say an acquaintance or a friendship or some kind of like togetherness, showing some kind of a camaraderie in the African American community. And Shannon was basically arguing, look, I'm going to continue using this word with my friends. I'm not going to stop using it. I know plenty of African American people that use this word. But I also respect where Kyrie's coming from. And they had this greater conversation where they involved some other Fox Sport analyst. I think it was Chris Broussard, actually. And Chris Broussard shares your opinion, Don, that the word should be banned. It's not something that should be used. But he does say that it's very much part of the lexicon, part of the vocabulary for many people. And so the question I bring to you is, if a word that conveys this much historical racism and is rooted in that, if that word is pretty much transformed or adopted in a different way so that it's given new meaning, do you think it's still worth banning it?
Yeah, because even though it may adapt new meaning, it's still going to have the historical inferences that some that don't accept the new meaning will use it for. I think that though a lens can change the perspective of images, you'll still know what the image is after you take off the lens. So it's still going to be there. You're not getting rid of whatever it was, what it's been, what it's going to be to some people. So I'm outright for it to be banned. I don't think it can be done because we live in a world where not everybody is going to be accepting of it, right? Some people are going to say it's just slang or something like that. Why are you being so soft about this whole thing? But to others, they're going to ramp it up. We don't have to deal with it. So it's easier said than done. I can only imagine, given some of the other racial slurs used on my own race, how it feels to hear it on a daily basis. I haven't had that, and I'm grateful for it. So changing it won't change what's been done. So sometimes it's better just to burn the bridge rather than try to build a new one.
It's definitely an interesting conversation, and one that I think both of us are not very qualified to fully have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think going back to the Brooklyn Nets, we talked about KD, we talked about Kyrie, but there's another Brooklyn Net that made some news recently.
Claxton.
And of course, we're talking
Steve
not
Nash.
Claxton this time. Steve Nash coaches this player. You're very close.
Harden.
It's a teammate of Harden, so you're very close.
Dang. D'Antoni.
So, annoying guesses aside, the player we're talking about is LeMarcus Aldridge.
Sure.
LeMarcus Aldridge, of course, we all know that he recently joined the Brooklyn Nets after going into the buyout market. He was debating between the Nets, maybe the Lakers, and a couple of other teams as well. But he ultimately chose the Brooklyn Nets because he thought it gave him the best shot at winning a title. And things were going well for him. I think in his first couple games back, he was playing well. And people were like, oh, wow, he was not this great. Maybe on the Spurs, he seemed like he was dogging it a bit. Went for Blake Griffin. But then very suddenly, it turns out that he suffered something that was very, very wild, very unknown. He had an irregular heartbeat. And this pretty much forced him, against his will, but it forced him to retire. And he still had plenty left in the tank, obviously. He was going to go for that championship run, but
Mhm.
an irregular heartbeat is not something to be trifled with. I mean, he could die if it's not looked at properly, if it's not taken care of, and he's not taken the right precautions to avoid any kind of serious damage. He's doing fine now. I don't think he's in a critical condition at the moment, but it's just amazing because as soon as I read that news, I thought of Chris Bosh, and Don pointed out to me that for Chris Bosh, it was a little bit different. It was about blood clots, not so much a heart arrhythmia. But knowing that it was something that took his career pretty much off, right? Like he couldn't continue playing anymore. It kind of hurt to see that. I mean, these guys are former All Stars. These guys have plenty of fans, and they still had something left in the tank. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously they weren't in their primes when this happened, but still, for Aldridge, it would have been interesting to see him try to go into the playoffs with the Brooklyn Nets and vie for a championship. It would have been cool to see that for him, since he's never made it that far. But now it's over, and he's never going to play basketball again.
Mm.
So I know, Don, you don't have the best relationship with LaMarcus, but what was your reaction when you heard this news?
I found it very, very, very unfortunate. It truly was his best opportunity to play for a ring. I'd be interested in see how the basketball legal teams will deal with what happens if Brooklyn ends up winning. Does LaMarcus Aldridge still get a ring? If so, does he want the
Yeah,
ring?
actually, they. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I did confirm that in his limited time that he
Mhm.
signed with the Brooklyn Nets, if the Brooklyn Nets do win a championship, he will get a ring. That's for
Well,
sure.
that's
Since
fantastic. But
yeah,
I mean, you played 5 games for them. Um, it's a touchy subject, or
uh,
it's a weird subject to have because there's part of it where it's like there's a certain level of pride that goes into. I assume, by the way, I'm no professional basketball player. My jump shot's still flat, right? But there's a certain level of pride to
I thought it
knowing
was flame. I thought your jump shot was flame.
that a certain level when you were part of the team, legitimately part of the team with them through the thick and thin, attending practice, you like putting in the 16-hour workouts and shit all day long. I assume the ring means a ton more when you've put in the time, been with the team, gelled with the team, and were part of was part of the culture that helped bring the championship to the team. But a ring is a ring. I mean, at the very least, he could flip it like I do my moments, but or auction it off, maybe something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
But at least immediately, for the guy, I feel bad. I mean, I didn't like him as a player, sure, but he did have stellar stats throughout his career. I'd say he's maybe a future Hall of Famer. He's not going to be a first rounder for sure, maybe not even second rounder, but he has a stat line to at least um, be included in the debate for Hall of Fame in the future. It's just unfortunate because, like you said earlier, there was still something in the tank for him. And even though he was playing like 20 some minutes maybe for the Nets when he played there,
sure,
he was producing. He just
sure.
wasn't a big body as I had assumed he was going to be. He still had the scoring prowess that they probably wanted, right? Coming off the bench, pairing it up with Blake. So now you have two bigs out there, or 1.5 big, depending on if you count Blake as a big. Really kind of dominating. shown that veteran presence, especially to the youngins that the Brooklyn Nets have to work with, given their limited roster, or actually their limited salary that they're working with. It's unfortunate. It sucks when an injury plagues a person more so than the team, because of course it's nice to know that Brooklyn basically lost one of its bullets in the chamber, but it just sucks knowing that this guy is not going to play basketball anymore. Like, this is what he loves to do. This is what he's basically, worked on, and his craft that he's mastered. He's one of the 100 or 200 people that have graced the TV screens that we that we love to watch, and he's been the bane of our existence in some cases when going up against us. But same thing with Bosch. When someone who is such a high caliber player loses even the option of continuing, it hurts a bit.
Yeah, I think you said it very eloquently. I personally like it when superstars, or even just stars for that matter, are healthy. I think the league is more entertaining. The game is more interesting when Derrick Rose doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
When Kobe doesn't tear his Achilles.
Yeah.
When Blake can still dunk.
He
all
still
these
can.
things. Yeah, he can. You're right. He's dunking again now. I like that move for Blake. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I like it when stars are playing close to their full potential and are healthy, because it just makes it more competitive. And when the game is more competitive, the show is more interesting. And it's just going to be tough for LeMarcus Aldridge fans, just like Chris Bosh fans, to not see him play in the NBA again, and happen so quickly, happen so suddenly. And speaking of things happening so suddenly, another tragedy has happened recently. Royalty has died. And no, not talking about Prince Philip. I'm talking about hip-hop royalty.
Oh,
I'm
my
talking
God,
about,
man.
Yeah, I'm talking about Earl Simmons.
You're so savage.
Earl Simmons, a.k.a. DMX.
Yeah.
And, obviously, DMX has been going through some issues, some substance abuse issues, for quite some time. And it all kind of caught up to him recently. I believe he suffered some kind of a consequence of overdose, and he was in some kind of a vegetative state in his final days before finally, I guess the family might have decided to pull the plug, and he passed away. Relatively young man, I think either in his late 40s or early 50s. And it was, it was saddening news for sure. I remember one of the first hip hop albums that I ever purchased. I think right after I bought 50 Cents To Get Rich or Die Trying, right? After that one, I had bought, believe it or not, Grand Champ by DMX, because that had come out around the same time.
It's the one with the dog in the front, right?
Yeah, that one. And, I enjoyed it. There were some really good hits on it. Where the Hood At, Get It on the Floor. You had features from Cameron from the Diplomats. You had features from 50 Cent on Shot Down with Styles P. It was really good if you enjoy that kind of aggressive gangster rap kind of music. And learning of his passing made me actually want to find more interviews and more music by him. And so I was just, looking back at different things that he did. There was his verses that he did between himself and Snoop Dogg last year. And, you could tell he's certainly over the hill. He's probably double or triple the weight that he used to be in his prime. And, he's lost a step or two, and, maybe he's not quite all there, but he's DMX, right? And you kind of got to give him props for what he was able to accomplish as a hip hop musical act. And of course, for me personally, I'll remember one of my favorite hip hop songs of all time is X Gon' Give It To You. And you know the one I'm talking about, Don. And one of my favorites, just so much aggression, so much energy, just great music, front to back. He's not everybody's cup of tea. He is not easy listening, to say the least. He is aggressive. He is the embodiment of attitude. He's kind of like the hip hop version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's how I would describe him. And you take the good with the bad for him. He struggled a lot in life, especially after his peak time. I remember he was arrested on multiple occasions for impersonating a police officer at an airport. He was on different drugs, cocaine, oxy, just left and right, and you name it. He definitely had some love up in his pocket. But at the end of the day, he was still beloved by many fans throughout the world. And whenever you see somebody of that nature, an artist that provided a lot of joy in different ways to the audience, I think it's always sad to see somebody like that go. But Don, I want to get your 2 cents, man. What did DMX's music mean to you, and maybe what were your favorite DMX songs?
I mean, I won't speak too much about his I guess discography because I can't name it off the top of my head, but it's one of those artists where if you hear a track, you know exactly if he did it. And I think that speaks levels as to the impact he's had in the hip-hop world or rap world, whichever one you want to categorize him into. I think the passing, especially in a case that could have been prevented over time, is definitely a showing of how life changes once you reach the peak of success. I feel like he was a fantastic artist. Wasn't my number one go-to when it came to listening or telling Siri to play something on Spotify. But whenever you needed an energy boost of some sort, DMX was going to give it to you, no matter what. He always came hard. Also, let's shout out his acting career. He has a couple movies out there. I wouldn't say he's the best actor, but he played the role flawlessly. Actually, not flawlessly, but he played the role. Did a decent job at it.
Sure.
But he's had a very, very successful life, and I wish his family and his loved ones, all the blessings in the world. He will be missed. He was definitely an entertainer. He was definitely one of a kind, I would say, given his pedigree. And
I saw that, yeah.
And it's just sucky because he was one of the greats. He was one of the greats that really stood out in the 90s and even say early 2000s or even 2000s just in general. And I think he still released some newer tracks even in the 20, I wouldn't say most recently, I'd say a couple years back maybe. So it sucks. I don't get it. I wish it didn't happen. I was hoping that he was going to make a showing on the new Fast and Furious that's coming out, but he's not. It is a sad day for the hip hop world when it did happen, and it's still a sad year that we lost him. So maybe it's one of these times where we got to do an album review in his honor.
Yeah, that might be kind of interesting, or at least kind of touch on some of his hits because we do have quite a long queue for album reviews. But actually, I'm glad you mentioned this because something that we don't do very well is promote our album reviews on the main podcast.
Sure.
So for those that have been listening to our podcast on the weekly, maybe on YouTube or on Google Podcasts, know that we do something kind of special on Spotify, exclusively on Spotify. So given the fact that we use Anchor as our distribution and hosting platform, we're able to use the official music from Spotify for our album reviews. And we do this in a playlist form where typically we do some kind of an introduction. We talk about an album for 10 minutes and then we jump into the first song and then we react to the song. And it's almost like you're playing a playlist of both the tracks and the commentary as you go through the episode. And these are all uploaded to Spotify. So please, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, check us out on Spotify, and there you'll find a few interesting albums. I believe we started with 1999 from Rich Brian, who we know now, friend of the show, Leroy, loves Rich Brian and has a lot of commentary about him. And then we went on to several other artists, including We did Red Hot Chili Peppers for their last album, The Getaway from 2016. We did Logic, No Pressure, his quote unquote retirement album, which is fantastic. And, we also did some less interesting albums like, let's say, Poison by Swizz Beatz. We also did Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon Part 3, which was interesting to say the least. And we certainly know that he is here now. Here I am. Oh, we know that for a fact.
Oh.
Yeah, that's one of the takeaways for me. But, sometimes it does help to revisit your past. It does help to provide closure on things when you travel to a place that you used to call home. And that is actually the central subject of a recent episode of Cowboy Bebop that we watched called Ganymede Elegy. So, Don, I think you know what to do.
Are we doomed to a cold and heartless future in which computer says yes or computer says no, with the grim finality of an emperor in the arena?
Ganymede, that sounds like it's one of Jupiter's moons, right?
That's right. And so obviously, Cowboy Bebop takes place way, way in the future in this kind of not really dystopian world, but just the world, right? Just some imagining of what the future would entail, full of space travel. And Ganymede happened to be a place that one of the main characters of the Cowboy Bebop, Jet, spent a lot of time on, back in the day. We learn a lot about Jet in episode 10 of Cowboy Bebop called Ganymede Elegy, because this one is the first episode where he is the central focus. And it's not exactly a happy episode, I'm afraid to say. We learn, first of all, that Jet used to be a police officer on the moon of Ganymede way back in the day. And he had a girlfriend, probably more than a lover, a girlfriend at the time that he was very fond of. And one night, all of a sudden, after a long, hard days of work, he came back to his home at the time, and he just saw on the bed a watch, just like a pocket watch, and a note alongside it that basically said farewell. And that was the end of the relationship between Jet and this woman. But ever since that day, Jet held on to that pocket watch as a reminder. And maybe because he never really had closure, he never really knew why, all the reasons why she left. And obviously, Jet's life changed, right? He was no longer a police officer. He had to move on to the Bebop crew. He became a bounty hunter along with Spike. And it's still not fully clear how Spike and Jet met, but I'm sure they'll go over that later in future episodes. But obviously, times have changed. Jet's no longer quite the same black dog, quote unquote, which was his nickname back in the day on the Force, that he used to be. He's somebody else now. He's a bounty hunter. So when all of a sudden they capture this random bounty who happens to need to go to the Ganymede Police Department, it was an opportunity for Jet to kind of revisit his old stomping grounds and kind of find out the truth. Why did this woman who he cared so much about decide to end the relationship? And in the process, of course, he finds out that this woman is still alive and she's running this little bar in the seaside. And she's kind of engaged, or she kind of has like a boyfriend. And the boyfriend is a criminal. The boyfriend even has a bounty on his head. And Jet, being a cop, being a very savvy veteran at that, he can tell, this guy is not much. He's running from the law. He's a fugitive. There's some stuff going on probably, but he just wants to know why this woman left him and why she's here now, why she's with this guy. And eventually what it boils down to is, the woman, she just wanted to be independent. She wanted to be able to make her own mistakes in life. And she felt that whenever she was with Jet, there was no room for her to make any mistakes because Jet would take care of everything. She felt like a little girl, hanging on the arm of this big dude. And the guy would just, easily handle every single trouble, every issue. He would always know the right thing to say. And, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, Jet in the Bebop crew, what does he do? He's the pilot, right? He's pretty much the captain of the ship. He's the guy keeping Spike in line. He's the guy who's trying to steady the ship and make sure everyone's doing the responsible thing. So he's always been that way. And you kind of see that, you know, for better or for worse, that kind of affected him and affected people around him. So they weren't meant to be. And Spike was also hot on the tail of this guy that this girl, and I forget the girl's name exactly. I think her name's Alyssa. So this guy, let me think. Rint is such a weird name, but so Alyssa and Rint, they're kind of like a couple, and Spike finds out from one of Jet's old friends who's on the police force that Rint has a bounty on his head. It's more than 1,000,000 wulong. So Spike goes out on his way, does his investigative research, tries to look around for him, and all the while, you know, Faye is absolutely useless in this episode. She's just pretty much eye candy, I would say. She just kind of, you know, soaks in some sun on the planet of, or on the moon of the Ganymede, and she's with, you know, the newly acquired addition to the crew. What's her name?
Edward.
Mm-hmm. Edward, that's right. So Edward is pretty much kind of weird. I don't even know what Edward's contribution to the crew is at this point. At the very beginning, she bites the bounty that's supposed to go back to the Ganymede police, and then she's like kind of feeling up on Faye like some kind of a cat. So Edward is just doing his or her thing, probably her thing, and Spike's on his way tracking this guy down, Rint. But ultimately, when they realize, oh shit, you know, this is Jet's, you know, hometown, and Jet needs to take care of this. Jet respectfully tells Spike, you know, this is my turf, let me handle it. Spike understands immediately. They got that, right? They got that brotherly relationship. And he's like, all right, you do your thing. Spike tails off. And the end is rather sad. You know, end is rather sad because obviously Jet hounds them down, gets them cornered. Alyssa holds up the gun and tries to shoot at Jet. Her hands are trembling, and Jet kind of keeps walking forward. And he kind of does the right thing, to be honest with you. Like, he knows that his own relationship with Elise is over, but he sees the situation in front of him, and he's like, you know what? This guy still... I used to be a cop here. I have to call this in. But given the situation, given that this was self-defense, given how you described it, he shouldn't be in jail for too long. And Alyssa also had some closure there because Alyssa would not have to run and be on the run again all the time. She could stay there, wait for Rint to get out of jail, and maybe have a life for herself, the life that she always wanted on this planet, on this moon. And Jet, after hearing all that, got closure himself and tossed the pocket watch into the ocean, finally being able to move forward with his ragtag bunch of bounty hunters. And so for me, it was... perhaps not my favorite episode so far, but I enjoyed hearing about Jet's history and watching him react to things that truly affected him early in his life. So what did you think, man? What did you think of episode 10, Ganymede Elegy?
No, I thought it was a good episode. I'm more into these story-driven or story-forward episodes that put other characters in desperate need of some context. I think that now we understand why the Black Dog is as he is. I think he understands he's taken a step away from being the Black Dog, which probably pays homage to why he's so calm in certain things, why he's not as big of a risk taker as Spike is, and why he's willing to kind of serve as a mentor more than anything else, and just kind of float through space without a real care in the world for time. He just wants to have an honest living, and I think that a man, given his history, doesn't really have much to lose. He knows he's lost what he wanted, or what he had rather, and he didn't appreciate it. So it's a dark episode if we want to look strictly at Jet's history, but to know that he's finally moved on, right, when he threw away the pocket watch at the end, and he's willing to now move forward in his life, make some progress. I'm interested in seeing how active he's going to be compared to his now passive self for the past 10 episodes. So I like it. Shows that he's a bigger man than what we may have thought of him. It shows that being a workaholic isn't necessarily the best thing for those that you care about. And it shows that things can change when you think that everything's just going fine. and the black dog lives on, but maybe a little calmer now.
Well said. Well said. And we are more than a third of the way through Cowboy Bebop's epic series, and it's very interesting. I don't think I get bored at all while watching the show. In fact, I look forward to it every time I know we finish doing this album recap, or not album, sorry, this episode recap. I look forward to the next one, and you never know who else may join the crew. You never know what trouble these bounty hunters will get into, and you can always count on some interesting character analysis in every episode. So far, we learned something very, very unique, story driven about Spike, about Jet, about Edward, about Faye, that shed some light as to who they really are, what their motivations are, and what they're looking for out there. And I hope you guys enjoyed our talk about the Cowboy Bebop episode 10, as well as our discussion about everything that happened these past couple of weeks. RIP DMX, of course. And for those that care, RIP Prince Philip. I'm sure the Queen and her family are in mourning right now.
Sure.
Harry is likely all the way back in LA with his wife Megan. But the NBA is moving along strong. Top Shot is moving along strong, and we can't wait to update you guys next time with more moments, with more fun updates. So until next time, take care and make sure the dog inside you keeps on living forever.